Hey guys, this is the flower bloom sweater tutorial, an easy make with the prettiest puff stitch flowers. I'm using Drops Loves You 7, a sport weight yarn in old pink. I'm making size small in the tutorial and I use 400 grams of yarn. I use the 3mm hook for the ribbing and 3.5mm hook for the body and sleeves. My gauge is 20 double crochet stitches by 9 rows in a 10 by 10 cm square. For finished measurements, the size guide and notes, check the link in the description box. This tutorial is paired with the written pattern available in sizes extra small to extra large, with instructions for adjusting the sweater length, sleeve length, and neckline width. Grab the pattern and crochet along with me. You will start the panel by chaining 110 to set the width of your sweater. For row 1, work in the back bumps of the chain, double crochet into the third chain from the hook, and then continue across. And while you're here, only 29% of the people who watch my videos are subscribed. If you've been enjoying them, I'd really love it if you hit that subscribe button. Thank you. For row 2, chain 2 and turn your work and make a double crochet in each of the first 3 stitches. So 1, 2, and 3. And now we'll start with the flower sequence. Chain 2 and then make a partial puff stitch in the very first chain you just made. So yarn over, insert hook, yarn over, pull through 3 times. That is a partial puff stitch. Then you will skip 1 stitch and make a partial puff stitch in the next stitch. Like this, and then you will skip 2 stitches and in the next stitch make another partial puff stitch. So you will now have 3 partial puff stitches, yarn over and pull through all the loops on your hook and chain 1 to close the flower. This creates the eye of the flower. Then chain 1 again, and now make a puff stitch right into that flower's eye. Yarn over and pull through all the loops on the hook and chain 1. And now skip 1 stitch and make a double crochet into each of the next 6 stitches. That completes the flower section, and you will repeat this section starting from the chain 2 across the row until you have 4 stitches left, and I will meet you there at the end of the row. When you reach those last 4 stitches, skip 1 and double crochet in each of the last 3 stitches to finish the row. For row 3, chain 2 and turn, and then double crochet in the first 3 stitches. Chain 2, by the way, doesn't count as a stitch from here and throughout. And then you will chain 1. So chain 1 and make a puff stitch in the flower's eye. and then you will chain 2 and make another puff stitch in that same eye. So now you have 6 petals on your flower after you're done with this last puff stitch. And then chain 1 and skip 1 stitch and double crochet in the next 6 stitches. You will repeat that sequence from start to start until you have 4 stitches left. When you reach the end, skip 1 stitch and double crochet in each of the last 3 stitches to finish the row. So here we have 4 stitches left. Skip 1 stitch and double crochet in each of the last 3 stitches to finish the row. For row 4, chain 2 and turn. We're going to double crochet all the way across the row, filling in all the spaces from the flower stitches. Start with a double crochet in each of the next 3 stitches. Then double crochet in the chain space. Then double crochet in the chain. Then make 2 double crochets into the chain 2 space. And then double crochet into the second chain of that chain 2. Double crochet in the next chain 1 space. And then double crochet into each of the next 6 double crochet stitches. So you will repeat this sequence from start to start until you have 4 stitches left. When you reach the end, double crochet in the next chain 1 space and then double crochet in each of the last 3 stitches to finish the row. For row 5, chain 2 and turn and double crochet into each of the first 9 stitches. Then, so we have 9 double crochets, then you will chain 2 and make a partial puff stitch in the very first chain you just made. Then you will skip 1 stitch and make a partial puff stitch in the next stitch. And then you will skip 2 stitches and you will make another partial puff stitch into the next stitch. You will now have 3 partial puff stitches on your hook. You will yarn over and pull through all the loops. Chain 1 to close the flower. This is the flower's eye. Chain 1 again and now make a puff stitch directly into that flower's eye. Then chain 1 and skip 1 stitch and then double crochet into each of the next 6 stitches. That's 1 full flower repeat. Repeat this sequence from start to start until you have 10 stitches left at the end of the row, and I will meet you there. We're at the end of the row where we have 10 stitches left. To finish the row, skip one stitch and double crochet in the last 9 stitches. For row 6, you will chain 2 and turn your work, and then you will double crochet into each of the first 9 stitches. Chain 1 and make a puff stitch into the flower's eye. And then chain 2 and make another puff stitch into the same eye. Now you will have 6 petals on the flower. And then chain 1, skip 1 stitch, and then double crochet into each of the next 6 stitches. So you will again repeat this sequence from start to start until you have 10 stitches left in the row, and I will meet you there. So here we are at the end of the row where we have 10 stitches left. You're gonna skip 1 and double crochet in the last 9 stitches. For row 7, you will chain 2 and turn your work, and then double crochet into each of the first 9 stitches. When you reach the flower, you're gonna double crochet into the chain 1 space, then double crochet into the next chain stitch, and then you will make 2 double crochets into the chain 2 space. 1, 2, and then double crochet into the second chain of that chain 2, and then double crochet into the next chain 1 space, and then double crochet into each of the next 6 double crochet stitches. You will repeat this sequence from start to start until you have 10 stitches left. Double crochet into the chain 1 space, and then double crochet into each of the last 9 stitches to finish the row. Repeat rows 2 through 7 until you reach row 31, ending with a double crochet row. Finish off and then make the second panel the same way. For the sleeve, you will make 2 rectangles just like the front and back panels, but start with a chain of 98. Then follow the same instructions as before, repeating rows 2 to 7 until you reach row 31, ending with a double crochet row. Both sleeve panels are done and ready to go. Next, we'll move on to assembly and start bringing the sweater together. With both panels stacked, right sides facing in, start at the outer edge of the shoulder and slip stitch 26 stitches towards the neckline to join. Fasten off and then repeat on the other shoulder. Keep your tension loose so the seam stays flat and comfortable when worn. Once both shoulders are joined, your neckline should measure about 28 centimeters wide. It's a simple boat neck shape, clean, open, and ready for the next step. Now we're going to attach the sleeves. I laid my sweater flat with the front and back already joined at the shoulders. Then I lined up the sleeve edge with the panels and clipped it in place with 3 stitch markers. Once it all looked even, I slip stitched it on slowly, keeping everything perfectly lined up as I went. Next, we'll sew the sleeves and the sides of the body in one go. I folded the sweater in half with the right sides facing in, so the edges lined up neatly. Starting at the cuff, I slip stitched all the way down the sleeve, then kept going along the side of the body until I reached the hem. It's simple, but taking it slow here makes the join look really clean. For the cuffs, we'll work into 96 stitches around the sleeve. Switch to a 3mm hook and attach your yarn in the first stitch right next to the sleeve seam with the wrong side facing you and chain 15. Now single crochet in the second chain from the hook and work single crochets across to the end of the chain. For row 2, you will slip stitch into the next 3 stitches on the sleeve, and this will count as your turning chain. Now turn your work around and then skip the 3 slip stitches and then single crochet in the back loop only all the way across. For row 3, chain 1 and turn your work and single crochet in the back loop only all the way across the cuff. Repeat rows 2 and 3 until your cuff has 64 rows, and I will meet you there. We have 2 stitches left on the sleeve and 63 rows on the cuff. To finish the last row on the cuff, slip stitch in the last 2 stitches on the sleeve, turn and work single crochet back loop only across the cuff. Finish off leaving a long tail for sewing. With the wrong side facing you, use a yarn needle to sew the ends of the cuff together so the seam stays hidden on the inside. This gives a seamless look with the join blending right into the ribbing so it's almost invisible. Make sure you have exactly 64 rows on the cuff. This way the rib texture lines up perfectly when you seam it and the pattern continues without a break. For the waist, you'll have 108 stitches on the front panel and 108 on the back, making 216 stitches total. You'll work the ribbing exactly the same way as for the cuffs, following those same row by row instructions until the ribbing goes all the way around. We're at the finish line now. Grab your 3mm hook and give that neckline some love. Just one round of single crochets all the way around, quick, easy, and it makes everything look so polished. You just made a flower bloom sweater with me, and we're basically besties now. Hit like, subscribe, and tell me in the comments what color you're making yours in. Bye!